everyone, welcome to today's episode. I'm Maria Laranjo, and it's great to have you all here for an exciting discussion about the unique career paths that young professionals take when they choose to work before diving into a master's program. I'm here with three other fantastic guests from NOVA Junior Consulting who all bring their own stories of working before pursuing their masters at NOVA SBE.
My name is Drey Tengan. I am studying the Business Analytics program here at NOVA. I am a consultant on NJC, and prior to this, I served as an investment analyst in real estate finance.
Great. Hi, I'm Sofia. I'm doing the Masters in Management here at NOVA. I joined as a consultant this semester at NJC, and my previous work experience was 3 internships in different industries and sectors with a duration of 6 months.
Hi, my name is Lukas Bieder. I'm in my second semester of the Masters in Management here at NOVA. I joined NJC this semester as a consultant, and before my Masters I did multiple internships in the consulting industry.
Yeah, and I'm Maria. I'm taking my master's in finance. I'm currently a principal at NJC, and my past experience was at EY as a consultant. So our goal here today is to get into the reasons behind our decisions, what's the work experience has taught us, and also how we're applying those experiences in our studies now. So let's dive right in. And to start, I would like to understand why did you decide to have this work experience? So what were your motivations? Was it like a strategic kind of decision or something else?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm happy to start. I think that for me, I was experiencing a bit of burnout actually as a student from having to study and being in that mode. And so I really wanted to take a step into the professional world and try to gain some experience in a real job. And so I decided to, at the time I wasn't even really considering pursuing a master's after the fact, and just really wanted to jump into real world experiences. And I think that was my main reasoning for that decision.
My case was a bit different. I'm Portuguese, but I studied in the UK, and typically some bachelor's degrees in the UK had it's called a sandwich placement. So you do basically 2 6-month placements within your 3-year degree, and that's what I did. 1 placement in the second year, and then the second in the third year, and then I did a third one during the summer. So it was kind of compulsory, but I chose that degree specifically because I had the opportunity to put into practice what I was learning in university. So it was always something that I really wanted to do, to work during my studies, because I was always the kind of person that liked to put into practice what I learned at school. And also, I always had a drive to learn, and I was super curious of what the corporate world was like. So that's why I chose to do some internships while I was studying. And nowadays, I think it was a great option, and that complemented really well my studies. So what about you?
Yeah, I think I have similarities with both of you actually in that sense. So at the beginning it wasn't a conscious decision, but my first internship was actually mandatory as well. So that's kind of how I started. And then I figured I like working better than writing scientific papers for my bachelor's degree. And I started out in a little bit of a different field, but then transitioning to being an intern in consulting was actually a conscious decision that I made, because I wanted to see kind of where my impact in terms of work is going for the client, and also wanted to be more in a kind of collaborative work environment, which I then definitely had that kind of experience.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, guys. On my side, I really wanted to kind of pause and have time to understand what field I wanted to pursue during the master's. And I think this time working really helped me with that. But I found out that it gave me way more than that. I mean, I feel like I learned a lot at UI, and I gained some soft and hard skills. So my next question would be if you guys think that there was this set of skills that defined your experience.
Yeah, I think that for me, one realization that I had moving into the professional world, especially in the realm of finance where I was working, is that so many of the things that you do can be done by other people. And so really what sets you apart in that space is the quality of the relationships that you can maintain and fostering trust with the clients that you're working with. And you work in groups while you're in school, but really to try to put yourself in the position of a customer and like have them trust to put their money with you in this case, I think was really an experience that I could only gain on the job. And so that was really a key factor, not only in my personal success, but in the success of my team at work. And I think that was really the biggest skill set that I developed there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. When I was doing an internship in the M&A department at a renewables company, I was super scared that I didn't have enough skills to join as an intern, because I knew some Excel, some PowerPoint, but really basic skills, and I was very scared that I wasn't able to do the job well. And it's completely what you said. Everything you need to do, you learn on the job, and people are there to help you. But for me, what really set me apart during all my placements was the ability to develop relationships at work, to be available for other people, to help others whenever they need, just to be available and be curious, drive to learn. So some kind of like social skills are the best skills to have in every industry, every company. So that would be my advice, and it was my experience.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think for me, what left the biggest impression and what was biggest learning or the most valuable experience was kind of the personal development I went through, especially in my last 2 internships. And I have a concrete situation actually in my mind right now, which is on the last project of the last internship I did. We were in the most important phase of the project. It was the last week of the project, and it was very, very stressful on me. And so one day we were talking something that wasn't really important with colleagues, and I kind of snapped at my colleague very passive aggressively because it wasn't important what we were talking about. I was like focused on work that was much more important at that moment. And that's something I realized it was a situation I've never been in before. And I think this experience translates to all situations that you will have later in life. It doesn't have to be a professional situation. It can be in private, the situation. But you will remember if you're under similar stress, what you did kind of wrong the first time, and you kind of know how to deal with it right now.
Yeah, my next question was actually going to go on that topic. So we've talked about how the skills you've developed during your work experience, like overall, but how did those translate kind of in the academic side of things? So have you noticed any differences in how you approach your studies after this experience?
Yeah, I think that it's a great question. For me, I feel like the objectives and what you're aiming for in an academic environment is very different than in a professional environment. At least here in my business analytics program, I'm really trying to take the time to do things like 100% correctly and to like understand the material in a thorough way. And I think when I was in the professional space, there is certainly like a minimum of, you need to have quality work, that's a given, but it also needs to happen in a certain time frame. And I think that operating in the professional space just makes me more focused on doing things efficiently, not for the sake of, like maximizing profit necessarily, but to say like, I value your time, and so I'm going to like return this to you because we're working on this in some collaborative way. Whereas studies can often be very individual. And so I'm actually enjoying that difference now and being like, okay, I can take the time to really understand this material and like do this kind of at my own pace. But that was like a big difference for me in terms of that space.
Yeah, I think when you work, you get like a whole other perspective on your studies. I think that happens a lot. For me, it was the way a lot of like people management skills, like even in group works here at NOVA, we have group works at every subject, and the way you deal with people, the way you collaborate with other people, like you have your experience at work and how your manager dealt with you at that time. So I think that skills you transfer immediately to your studies. And besides that, I think your what happened to me was that everything I did at university got I got a sense of purpose and a more oriented path of what I was doing here. For example, like when you're studying at first and second year of university, you're just like trying to pass at things and get a good grades. Now you do things because you want to get somewhere else. And I think for me, working during my studies, like I got a sense of purpose for everything I was doing at university because I wanted to follow a specific career path. For example, joining NJC for me, like it was a choice during my studies that was because of experiences I had during my work experience.
Yeah, I think the skills you gain in your professional career translate quite well to university life or to academic life. And I think this in the end then kind of also sets you a different expectation for your own work. At least that's what I feel like after having done these multiple internships, that you kind of have a different expectation of what your work is supposed to be. And there you kind of have to be careful that you don't over-engineer some of the tasks or assignments that you have to do in university, because they might not be as complex or not. You don't need to go as deep as you might need to in a work environment. So I think that's just something to be careful of. But I think in general, all the skills you learn in consulting, for example, top-down communication, how to structure a problem, I think all those skills will serve you very well in your academic studies.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add that I think the life at university gets way more simple when you worked before, because you're just enjoying, and you know that having like 2 more points in the exam, in the finance exam, is not that important because you'll get that anyway. So it's just for me, the master's has been like that, which is just enjoy, learn, and it's gonna be fine. And I think working makes a difference.
I agree with that. I'm way more focused on learning than on the grades now, which is really good. And I mean, we've talked about how this experience impacted our career and academic paths, but I feel like the job experience so early in my life gave me huge takeaways that have kind of changed the way I behave towards any challenge overall. At least in my case, I feel like in Portugal, it's not so common to work in the middle of your studies. And I feel like I learned that it's okay to take different paths. It's okay to not know what you want and to take some time off to figure things out, to explore new ways of doing things.
For sure.
And that's one of the main key takeaways I took from this experience. And so my final question would be if you have any takeaways for our listeners, any advices to conclude.
Yeah, I think that's similar to your line of reasoning. You're not really going to know how something is until you put yourself in it. And I think that, following an academic career can be great, but there is just some things you'll never know about a job until you have that experience. And so I think that I would really encourage people to have a variety of experiences to figure out, okay, what is it that I actually do like and don't like? And even if that is like while you're still in studies programs, like it's the reason I'm in NJC, to have this experience that's maybe slightly different than ones that I've had before, to get a better understanding of, is that something I actually do like or is it not? Because I think that if you get really focused on, unless you know that you want to be a PhD, for example, it can be easy to kind of disconnect from the study and like the real world application. And there are so many things about a job, like the relationships that we talked about, that studies can't directly prepare you for. And so I think it's really important that people have experiences and then, decide, okay, I actually did enjoy this part, or maybe I didn't enjoy this part. And then that can inform your future decisions.
For me, my main key takeaway from all the internships and even from my studies was be nice to people, like be a good person, enjoy the job, have fun. So don't overreact or don't put too much weight on your first job or what placement you're at. Just enjoy and be there for people, because the relationships you develop during that time, it's going to be always the most important thing, and maybe it's the thing that you will love the most about your job. So that would be my advice. Just make friends at work.
It's definitely very, very important advice. But I really like the advice you gave, especially to everyone listening who's Portuguese, because when I came here, that was very foreign to me that Portuguese people simply don't do internships, so it's not as big as a thing, because like coming from the German study system, it's a very big thing. So everyone does internships in Germany. But something else I wanted to touch on, especially for fields like that are very demanding, if we're being honest, consulting, investment banking, whatever. I think for these fields, it's especially for these, it's important that you are prepared in some kind of way to, when you are applying or when you know you already have the internship and it's going to start in 3 months, 4 months, that you reach out to people who have been in a similar position to kind of learn from them. What was that work like? What were your mistakes? What did you learn? What did you take away from these experiences? Because that's something I remember now that I should have done when I first did my first consulting internship. Because I came in and had some kind of vague idea of what it was going to be, but actually I didn't really know what it was going to be. So I was struggling a lot at the beginning, and I think those strugglings could have been much easier if I actually had talked a lot more to people in a similar position before.
Yeah. Next, I would like to ask you, what is a day in your life during your work experience?
Yeah, it's a great question. As an investment analyst, I was spending a lot of time in Excel, working with just trying to understand if our real estate assets are profitable. And so examining those numbers, KPIs, all of these general buzzwords you hear. But in addition to that, it was a lot of corresponding with experts. So given our role, we were conducting deals across the US. And oftentimes that means calling up somebody in the local area who has expertise, or working with environmental experts or regulatory experts, and trying to accumulate all of that information and make it easily understandable for my boss, my boss's boss, other stakeholders who are, don't have time to spend the hours that I was spending in it, but need to just look at a document and get a gist of the quality of the assets.
Yeah, mine was a bit similar. So in a 6-month internship, the first 2 months was me just learn how to do the models. So I always started my day with a weekly meeting, not a weekly meeting, a daily meeting with my team, just knowing what everyone is doing, the phase of the project. So I always started with a meeting, which was good. And then the rest of the day was just doing Excel and the models and inserting the inputs from various business units from Italy, France. So I also had contact with those people, which was also fun. And then once in a month we had a team dinner. My internship was in Madrid, so it was super fun. And it was a Portuguese company as well. So I worked with like 95% of my team was Portuguese people. So it was also fun in that way to interact and to get to know better my teammates in that way. And yeah, like once a month, also we developed presentations to the management team, and we had investment committee meetings. So it was kind of similar to yours in that way, but maybe adjusted to the renewables industry.
Yeah, I think in terms of daily structure, there are some similarities. We had in consulting, we did the same in terms of like daily check-ins, daily check-outs, and that kind of stuff. But I think what's important to notice about consulting can be very different depending on kind of the company you work at, the project you do. So I just want to give you here like one fun experience that I had was the last experience that I did. I was on a project in England. So basically every week I was flying out to England to the client and flying back at the end of the week home. And that was a great experience, to be honest, because while the project wasn't as demanding, that kind of left a little bit more like free time to, go out after work, basically. So I think some of my best kind of professional experience have been those days at the client in England, just going to a car meetup after work with even colleagues from the client. So, but there are also experiences which are completely different. Different project I did. I spent basically multiple days with the other intern just doing a regulatory overview for our client. So you're reading law texts all day basically, which is obviously not as fun as the previous experience I mentioned. But that's two sides of the coin basically of consulting.
Yeah, great, thank you. And how did you end up here at NOVA? So how did your paths and your decisions made you be here today in Portugal taking a master's?
Yeah, it's a question that I receive a lot, being from the US, being from Hawaii specifically. To me, I think it was really important to have international experience. I knew that from the beginning. I've known that since I was a young kid. And unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to do that in my bachelor's program for a variety of reasons. And I kind of went into the professional world just thinking that it was something that wasn't going to be possible for me at the time. But then being in the professional world and realizing that, okay, maybe this job isn't exactly what I want to do and I do have other interests that I'd like to pursue, why don't I pivot and try to work on some other skills that will be applicable. And that led me to study the business analytics program, particularly because I felt as though my day-to-day activities in Excel weren't really contributing to my long-term learning. Like, sure, I'm an Excel wizard maybe, but like, is that a skill set that, I don't know. Like, to me, I felt like there were other skill sets to develop. And in the business analytics program here, we're working with large amounts of data and, trying to understand and extract insights, which I think is a bit different than Excel analysis, really. So I was motivated in that sense, but also, again, to have the international experience. I actually met a friend of a friend who had studied here at NOVA in the same master's program that I'm currently in. And he came back, it was right after he had finished the program, and he had like just this joy around him. I think from mostly spending his time at the beach, but I was jealous, I was like, I want to have that in my life as well. So I think that NOVA really fits an overlap between, okay, my professional needs in terms of retooling and gaining some new skills, and also my personal needs of having this time and being able to experience a new culture and all of the learning that happens along with that.
Mm-hmm. Mine was a bit different in a way that I was almost sure that I wanted to work after my bachelor's. I was never an academic kind of person. So I just wanted to start working here in Portugal or in Spain. And when I was doing my exchange, so it was not my final semester, but the semester before that, I started looking for jobs. And so I started also speaking with some people in the corporate world. And when they asked me how old I was, and I said 21, they were shocked, like, please don't start working now. You've got your whole life. Just go and take your master's, do a gap year. So everyone was like, kept saying that to me. So I started thinking maybe I'm a bit too young and there's no like pressure to just start working and start. So that's why I applied to NOVA. I had some friends doing the master's here, which was good. I wanted to come back to Portugal, so it was a good opportunity to just come back, be home for a while, and then start working after the master's. So yeah, and I was super excited when I checked the master's curriculum and when I started speaking to people who were also thinking about applying. So that was my main motive, like just waiting a bit before starting just applying and starting working for real. And I wanted to delay that a bit. And I think I was a bit immature as well. Like you're 21, you're not ready to just to the corporate world in that sense. So I think it was, and I'm super happy with my choice now. I think it was really necessary to wait for this year and
Yeah.
to learn. Even like the academic side, I'm learning so much more than I thought I would learn here. Like I'm very like impressed for like Portuguese universities. I thought they would be super different and very like delayed in the scope of like international universities. And I'm very impressed with NOVA in that sense. Like a lot of international people, very good professors, like super. A lot of activities, like even NJC, I'm super impressed with like all the hard work people put into this company. So I'm very excited. I did this choice, and I think for sure it was the right one. So yeah.
I can definitely agree that was the right choice to come here. I think we have a very interesting field here because everyone has kind of like his own path and very individual one, which is true for me as well, because I come from a completely different background. I did a bachelor's degree in sociology and political science, which is very different from what we're doing here. It's a lot of writing scientific papers. It's very theoretical. It's not really practical, or the application is not as there as it is at a business school like this one, which was one of the main motivations to come here, actually, having that more practical side in your studies. And then I think a similarity that we share is the international experience, because I didn't have any prior to coming to NOVA. So that was also a very big kind of need for myself, not only in terms of the professional career, but also I feel like in terms of personal development. Because coming here and meeting so many people from different kind of backgrounds, different cultures, is really eye-opening, or what has been really eye-opening. Having so many friends outside of like your own nationality and being able to learn from their perspective is, I think, one of the greatest assets of this experience so far, and I'm really glad I've done it.
What about you, Maria?
Okay, so I feel like I have a different path from you guys. So I did do my bachelor's here at NOVA in management, and I feel like if I continued my path at NOVA, I would not take the most out of it, because it will be only kind of a continuation of my bachelor's. So that's why I decided to stop 1 year and work at EY. And then I feel like taking this time off made me realize how much I did enjoy NOVA and how much I still had to learn from NOVA. And now that I'm back, I definitely feel like I'm getting the most out of it. I think I'm trying to participate in way more events and lectures that NOVA has to offer, which are a lot, and I feel like that's the reason I came back. So we reached the end of our episode today. Thank you everyone for such a rich conversation. I think we've touched on some insightful points about the work experience and how it shapes both the academic and the career paths. For our listeners, if gaining hands-on experience before further studies resonates with your goals, it's definitely worth exploring. And I feel like all of us four would be happy to help and answer any further questions you may have. Thanks for tuning in, and a big thank you to our guests for sharing their journeys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.